ExamPrep.School. North Carolina Hail Adjuster, exam code INSNC-Hail41. There are 5 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1, which is free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. Commissioner of Insurance, Consumer Services Division Rules, Contract of Insurance, General Insurance Terms and Concepts, General Regulations for Insurance, Insurance Information and Privacy Protection Act, Licensing of Agents, Brokers, Limited Representatives, and Adjusters, Unfair Trade Practices. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. Under North Carolina, General Statutes GS 58-33-1, which adjuster license classification authorizes an individual to act exclusively on behalf of policyholders and negotiate claim settlements for compensation? A. Company adjuster. B. Independent adjuster. C. Public adjuster. D. Crop hail adjuster. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is C. This option is correct because only public adjusters are licensed to represent insureds in claim negotiations for a fee under GS 58-33-1. Reason A is not correct. This classification is appointed by and adjusts claims only for an insurer, not for policyholders. Reason B is not correct. This classification adjusts on behalf of insurers rather than representing policyholders directly. Reason D is not correct. This classification is limited to adjusting hail losses to crops and does not generally represent policyholders. Question 2. Jordan holds a limited line personal adjuster license under North Carolina insurance regulations. After a severe hailstorm, Jordan begins inspecting residential roof damage caused by hail and negotiating settlements with homeowners. Which additional line of authority must Jordan acquire to legally perform these hail adjusting activities? A. Property and Casualty Adjuster License. B. Limited Hail Adjuster License. C. Public Adjuster License. D. Limited Commercial Adjuster License. The correct answer is A. This option is correct because a Property and Casualty Adjuster License grants authority to adjust residential property claims arising from hail damage, which is not covered by a Limited Personal Adjuster License. Reason B is not correct. A Limited Hail Adjuster License is specific to crop hail insurance and does not cover residential property claims. Reason C is not correct. A Public Adjuster License allows representation of insureds against insurers but does not grant authority to inspect or settle hail damage. Reason D is not correct. A Limited Commercial Adjuster License authorizes only commercial lines and does not include residential hail claims. Question 3. Under GS 58-33, which section prescribes the fingerprint submission procedures for adjuster license applicants to the SBI? A. GS 58-33-20. B. GS 58-33-31. C. GS 58-33-35. D. GS 58-33-45. The correct answer is B. The fingerprint submission requirements for adjuster applicants are set out in GS 58-33-31, which details the method, timing, and fee for submitting impressions to the SBI. Reason A is not correct. That section addresses application fees and not fingerprint procedures. Reason C is not correct. That section deals with disciplinary actions rather than submission of fingerprints. Reason D is not correct. That section governs limited representative qualifications, not fingerprint submissions. Question 4. When completing an application for an adjuster license in North Carolina, applicant Lee was convicted of misdemeanor shoplifting 8 years ago. Under state requirements for criminal history disclosure, how should Lee respond on the application? A. Answer no because it occurred more than 7 years ago and falls outside the reporting period. B. Answer yes and provide details of the misdemeanor conviction. C. Answer no because only felony convictions must be disclosed. D. Answer no because misdemeanors unrelated to insurance violations do not need reporting. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is to report the conviction because North Carolina requires disclosure of all criminal convictions involving moral turpitude, regardless of how long ago they occurred. Failure to disclose any qualifying conviction can lead to application denial or subsequent disciplinary action. Reason A is not correct. A conviction older than 7 years still must be reported if it involves moral turpitude, so the timeframe argument is incorrect. Reason C is not correct. The requirement extends to misdemeanors involving moral turpitude as well as felonies, making the felony-only rationale invalid. Reason D is not correct. Misdemeanors involving moral turpitude must be disclosed even if unrelated to insurance, so omission is not permitted. Question 5. Under North Carolina, general statutes governing adjuster licensing, by which date must a resident adjuster submit a biennial renewal application to avoid license expiration? A. June 30th of each odd-numbered year. B. June 30th of each even-numbered year. C. December 31st of each odd-numbered year. D. March 31st of each even-numbered year. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is June 30th of each odd-numbered year, because North Carolina resident adjuster licenses operate on a biennial renewal cycle that expires mid-year in odd-numbered years under GS 58-33. Reason B is not correct. This is incorrect because the statutory cycle falls on odd-numbered years rather than even. Reason C is not correct. This is incorrect since expiration always occurs on June 30th, not December 31st. Reason D is not correct. This is incorrect because renewal deadlines are tied to June, not March. Question 6. Under North Carolina, GS 58-63-1511, within how many calendar days after receipt of a claimant's proof of loss must an insurer acknowledge and commence an investigation of the claim? A. 7 calendar days. B. 30 calendar days. C. 15 calendar days. D. 45 calendar days. The correct answer is C. The statute requires insurers to acknowledge receipt of proof of loss and begin claim investigation within 15 calendar days to comply with prompt investigation obligations under GS 58-63-1511. Reason A is not correct. The timeline is shorter than the statutory requirement, which specifies 15 days. Reason B is not correct. The statute mandates action sooner than 30 days. The correct period is 15 days. Reason D is not correct. The required period is shorter than 45 days. The law specifies 15 days. Question 7. An independent adjuster receives written notice of hail damage from a policyholder via email on Tuesday, March 1st. The adjuster logs the notice in the company's system on March 2nd, but does not send a written acknowledgement until Friday, March 15th. Under North Carolina's unfair trade practices statutes governing claims settlement standards, did the adjuster comply with the timely acknowledgement requirement? A. Complied, because acknowledgement was sent within 10 business days. B. Violated because acknowledgement exceeded the required 15 calendar days. C. Complied, because acknowledgement was within 15 business days. D. Violated because acknowledgement was sent after the 10 business day deadline. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is that the adjuster violated the requirement by acknowledging beyond the 10 business day deadline mandated under GS 58-63-20. Reason A is not correct. This choice incorrectly assumes the acknowledgement fell within the 10 business day window, but weekends reduce the count, making it late. Reason B is not correct. This choice applies a 15-day calendar rule that does not exist under the relevant statute, which specifies business days. Reason C is not correct. This choice refers to a 15 business day allowance that is not mandated. The statute requires acknowledgement within 10 business days. Question 8. An independent adjuster visiting a homeowner's property discusses options for a new hail damage policy. During the pitch, the adjuster states that the policy will cover any flood damage resulting from storms. Which action most directly violates North Carolina's prohibition on misrepresenting policy benefits in solicitations? A. Offering to handle the claim personally outside the insurer's standard procedures. B. Failing to disclose a rate surcharge for high-risk properties. C. Representing that flood damage is covered under a hail policy. D. Requesting the insured waive the deductible as a condition of service. The correct answer is C. Stating that flood damage is covered under a hail policy is a clear misrepresentation of policy benefits, which is prohibited in any solicitation or advertisement under GS 58-63-20. Reason A is not correct. Discussing handling claims outside standard procedures is unauthorized practice but does not misrepresent policy benefits. Reason B is not correct. Not disclosing a surcharge relates to unfair discrimination, not misrepresentation of coverage benefits in solicitations. Reason D is not correct. Asking to waive a deductible may constitute an inducement or rebate issue, but does not involve misrepresenting policy benefits. Question 9. Under North Carolina, GS 58-63-50, which practice is expressly prohibited as an inducement to effect an insurance contract? A. Rebating a specific amount of the premium back to the insured after policy binding. B. Granting a loss control credit for installation of approved safety equipment. C. Providing complimentary risk management workshops to underwriting prospects. D. Distributing nominal promotional items such as pens and calendars to applicants. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is rebating a portion of the premium after policy binding, because GS 58-63-50 prohibits any rebate to an insured as an inducement. Permitted practices include safety equipment credits, educational workshops, or nominal promotional items. Reason B is not correct. A loss control credit for approved safety equipment is an authorized rate-based discount, not a prohibited inducement. Reason C is not correct. Complimentary risk management workshops are permitted promotional activities, not unlawful rebates. Reason D is not correct. Nominal promotional items are allowable marketing materials and do not constitute an illegal inducement. Question 10. According to 11 InsNC-Hail41, within what maximum number of business days must the North Carolina Department of Insurance acknowledge receipt of a consumer's complaint? A. Within 7 business days. B. Within 10 business days. C. Within 20 business days. D. Within 15 business days. The correct answer is D. The Department of Insurance is required by 11 NCAC04.0417 to send a written acknowledgement of complaint receipt within 15 business days of receiving it. Reason A is not correct. The rule stipulates a longer acknowledgement period than 7 business days. Reason B is not correct. An acknowledgement period of 10 business days falls short of the required time frame. Reason C is not correct. This exceeds the maximum time frame allowed. The regulation caps it at 15 business days. Question 11. Under the Consumer Services Division rules, 11 NCAC InsNC-Hail41. A written communication satisfies the plain language requirement if it A. Specifies that the font size must be at least 12 point for adults aged 40 and above. B. Incorporates at least a grade 6 readability score and includes a glossary of industry terminology. C. Requires inclusion of an explicit notice advising consumers to consult an attorney. D. Is written using common words, short sentences, and minimal legal or technical jargon. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is written using common words, short sentences, and minimal legal or technical jargon, which aligns directly with the plain language requirement designed to ensure clarity and comprehension by consumers, rather than focusing on readability metrics, legal advisories, or formatting specifications. Reason A is not correct. This option incorrectly emphasizes font size requirements instead of content clarity. Reason B is not correct. This option incorrectly focuses on readability scores and glossaries instead of common words and simple sentences. Reason C is not correct. This option incorrectly centers on legal advisories rather than clarity in language. Question 12. 2 weeks after closing a hail claim, an insurer receives a written request from the North Carolina Department of Insurance for the complete claim file, which includes adjuster's reports, recorded statements, and internal litigation memos. Under the applicable Consumer Services Division rules, what should the insurer provide and within what time frame? A. Provide all claim file documents, including adjuster's reports, recorded statements, and coverage correspondence, redacting internal litigation memos within 10 business days. B. Provide all claim file documents, including adjuster's reports, recorded statements, coverage correspondence, and internal litigation memos within 15 calendar days. C. Produce only proof of loss forms, indemnity payment records, and policy declarations, redacting privileged information within 10 business days. D. Provide the full claim file without redaction, including internal litigation memos, within 10 calendar days. The correct answer is A. The correct answer reflects the requirement under 11 NCAC-04 rules that insurers must furnish all claim file documents requested by the department within 10 business days and may withhold or redact privileged legal memos such as internal litigation materials. Reason B is not correct. The insurer must respond within 10 business days, not 15 calendar days, and must redact privileged legal memos. Reason C is not correct. The department's request covers the entire claim file, not just proof of loss forms, indemnity records, and policy declarations. Reason D is not correct. Privileged internal litigation memos must be redacted, and the response deadline is 10 business days rather than 10 calendar days. Question 13. Under GS 58-2-10, which of the following is a power of the North Carolina Commissioner of Insurance when conducting examinations of insurers? A. Require insurers to produce full records and administer oaths to officers and employees without prior court approval. B. Levy a uniform administrative penalty fee on insurers to offset the costs of conducting examinations. C. Restrict examination authority to department-employed examiners, excluding any third-party examiners. D. Conduct routine examinations only after providing insurers with at least 30 days advance written notification. The correct answer is A. The Commissioner's statutory examination authority under GS 58-2-10 includes compelling production of books and records and administering oaths without needing a court order. Fees charged must be based on actual examination expenses, third-party examiners may be used, and no fixed 30-day notice period is required. Reason B is not correct. Fees are assessed based on actual examination expenses, not as a uniform penalty fee. Reason C is not correct. Statute allows the Commissioner to appoint qualified third-party examiners, not just department staff. Reason D is not correct. There is no statutory requirement to provide a 30-day advance notice before conducting an examination. Question 14. A hearing officer in a disciplinary hearing concluded oral testimony on March 10th, and the record remained open for post-hearing submissions, closing on March 20th. Under NCGS 58-2 for licensed discipline hearings, by what date must the hearing officer file the recommended order with the Commissioner of Insurance? A. April 18th. B. April 25th. C. April 20th. D. April 19th. The correct answer is D. The hearing officer must file the recommended order within 30 calendar days after the record closes on March 20th. Counting begins March 21st as day 1, so the 30th day falls on April 19th. Reason A is not correct. This date undercounts by 1 day when counting 30 days from the day after record closure. Reason B is not correct. This date exceeds the 30-day limit for filing the recommended order under NCGS 58-2. Reason C is not correct. This date adds 1 extra day beyond the 30-day filing period required after the record closes. Question 15. Under North Carolina's General Insurance Regulations, GS 58-3... At what point must an insured hold an insurable interest in property to recover under a property insurance policy? A. When submitting the policy application. B. Only at the time of loss. C. At the moment the policy is issued. D. Upon payment of the first premium. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that insurable interest must exist only at the time of loss under GS 58-3... which aligns with the standard rule for first-party property claims in North Carolina. Reason A is not correct. An interest at application does not satisfy the statutory requirement, which focuses on the time of loss. Reason C is not correct. Policy issuance timing is not determinative. The statute requires interest at loss, not issuance. Reason D is not correct. Premium payment establishes contract consideration, but does not create or satisfy insurable interest. Question 16. A homeowner's insurer discovers midterm that the insured converted an attached garage into a woodworking studio without notifying the insurer or obtaining inspection approval. Under North Carolina law, which of the following is a valid ground for midterm cancellation of the property policy? A. Material misrepresentation on the original application. B. Substantial increase in hazard due to unapproved garage conversion. C. Failure to protect property after a covered loss. D. Addition of an unauthorized occupant to the residence. The correct answer is B. This option is correct because an unapproved change that substantially increases risk is a statutory ground for midterm cancellation under North Carolina insurance regulations. Reason A is not correct. This choice is incorrect because there was no misrepresentation at the time of application. The change occurred after policy issuance. Reason C is not correct. This choice is incorrect because failure to protect property post-loss relates to coverage denial, not midterm cancellation. Reason D is not correct. This choice is incorrect because adding occupants without notifying the insurer does not by itself constitute a statutory cancellation ground. Question 17. Under North Carolina's Insurance Information and Privacy Protection Act, GS 58-39-15D, which of the following sources may an adjuster lawfully use to collect a claimant's personal information? A. A private investigator's report obtained without prior disclosure to the claimant. B. A consumer reporting agency's file after receiving written authorization from the claimant. C. Posts from the claimant's private social media accounts accessed without consent. D. Medical records obtained directly from a hospital without a signed release. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is a consumer reporting agency's file with written authorization because GS 58-39-15D permits personal information collection from consumer reporting agencies only after the claimant has provided consent. Reason A is not correct. A private investigator's report obtained without disclosure is not permitted because claimants must be informed before personal information is collected. Reason C is not correct. Accessing private social media without consent violates the disclosure and consent requirements of the Act. Reason D is not correct. Medical records require a signed release and must comply with HIPAA, so cannot be obtained without a proper authorization. Question 18. An adjuster arranges an in-person inspection of hail damage at an insured's residence, during which the adjuster will collect non-public personal information, such as repair estimates and property details. According to the North Carolina Insurance Information and Privacy Protection Act, when should the adjuster provide the insured with the initial privacy notice? A. Within 30 days after completing the on-site inspection. B. At or before the inspection before collecting any non-public personal information. C. When mailing the final claim payment for the loss. D. At the insured's next policy renewal date. The correct answer is B. The Act requires delivery of the initial privacy notice at or before the time the customer relationship is established, which occurs before collecting non-public personal information during the inspection. Reason A is not correct. The statute does not allow a 30-day delay but requires notice at the relationship's inception before collecting personal data. Reason C is not correct. Waiting until payment mailing is too late since notice must precede any collection of non-public personal information. Reason D is not correct. Policy renewal is unrelated. Initial notice must be provided at the start of the customer relationship, not at renewal. Question 19. In the formation of an insurance contract, which of the following best describes the consideration exchanged between the parties? A. The applicant's agreement to policy terms without payment of premium. B. The insurer's acceptance of a properly completed application for insurance. C. The insured's disclosure of material facts and the insured's signature on the policy. D. The insurer's promise to indemnify and the applicant's payment of premium. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is the insurer's promise to indemnify coupled with the applicant's premium payment, which constitutes the bilateral consideration necessary for a binding insurance contract. Reason A is not correct. Agreement without premium payment fails to exchange value and thus lacks the required consideration. Reason B is not correct. Acceptance of an application signifies agreement, but does not by itself constitute legal consideration. Reason C is not correct. Providing disclosures and a signature are formalities, not the reciprocal exchange of value required. Question 20. Which statement correctly distinguishes a moral hazard from a morale hazard in insurance? A. Moral hazard arises from an insured's fear of losses. Morale hazard from the insurer's underwriting attitude toward risk. B. Moral hazard is associated with economic inflation affecting premiums, whereas morale hazard relates to consumer confidence in insurers. C. Moral hazard involves negligence in property maintenance, while morale hazard stems from intentional misrepresentation on applications. D. Moral hazard refers to increased loss likelihood due to an insured's dishonesty, while morale hazard arises from indifference or carelessness. The correct answer is D. The correct answer identifies moral hazard as behavior driven by dishonesty or fraud, and morale hazard as behavior driven by carelessness or loss of motivation. Reason A is not correct. This ties hazards to emotional fear and insurer practices rather than insured dishonesty versus insured carelessness. Reason B is not correct. This option confuses economic and market factors with behavioral hazards and does not address dishonesty or carelessness. Reason C is not correct. This reverses the concepts, attributing negligence to moral hazard instead of carelessness, and misrepresentation to morale hazard instead of dishonesty. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below, we read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.